So the earlier one I sent, I was able to explain. I was able I was able to explain that for a water to be fit for human consumption, for a water to be wholesome, it must meet up with certain requirements. It must be fit, it must be physically fit, chemically fit, and biologically fit. And of course, by now you understand the meaning of physical fitness of water. When the water is physically fit, it means that the water is colorless, is odorless, is tasteless, the temperature is cool and refreshing, and the pH is neutral. That is the physical fitness of water. Now, let me quickly move to the chemical characteristics of water. Water says that the quality of water does not depend on physical characteristics alone. That when you see that a water is physically fit, does not mean that a water can be physically fit and chemically unfit or biologically unfit. So, for a water to be fit for human consumption, it must be physically fit, chemically fit, and biologically fit. Now, let us go to the chemical fitness of water. Chemical fitness of water talks about the elements, chemicals that are present in water. Yes, the presence of certain elements in water can cause damage to our health. Yes, so that is why we need to evaluate the chemical constituent of water. Yes, what are the chemical characteristics of water? Number one, hardness, water hardness. Yes, when water is hard, water hardness means that the inability of water to form lather with soap. Omi tí ò hó. That when you pour soap or detergent, the water will not bring out foam. That is the meaning of water hardness. Yes, when water is hard, it indicates that there is presence of certain elements like magnesium, potassium. Do you get it now? So that kind of water is not drinkable except it's subjected to certain level of treatment. That is water hardness. Number two, some toxic chemicals. Toxic chemicals like water must not contain toxic chemicals like cadmium, the heavy metals, cadmium, radon, lead, like that. Of course, they are very harmful to our health. Then we also have dissolved oxygen. When you talk about dissolved oxygen, that is DO. Dissolved oxygen means that the level of oxygen that is present within the water at that period of time, that is dissolved oxygen. Yes, of course. Water too, yes. If you could remember that when I was teaching you water pollution, I said something like that. That oxygen also penetrates into water. So water that is awesome should also contain some level of dissolved oxygen. Yes, it must contain some level of dissolved oxygen. If there's no dissolved oxygen in it, that water is not also fit for human consumption. Then we also have that is under chemical characteristics too. That is under chemical characteristics. Well, yes, I've talked about hardness, I've talked about toxic chemicals, I've talked about dissolved oxygen, and we also talk about fluoride. For instance, now, if there is excess of chemicals like fluoride in water, yes, fluoride is at one point in time is used in treatment of water at the water treatment plant. If fluoride is now in excess, it will cause damage to people's health. Yes, I remember if a pregnant woman drink water that is full of excess of fluoride, the baby will develop what we call baby blue syndrome. That is fluorosis. Yes, it will lead to a condition we call fluorosis. Fluorosis is fluorosis. So fluorosis is another water chemical disease. It's a water chemical disease. Yeah, that disease that arises as a result of the chemical constituent of water. Yeah, that is fluoride. And we also have chlorine. Chlorine is a disinfectant. It's a chemical that they use to destroy pathogenic organisms in water. So if at the end of the treatment, yes, and the chlorine level is now high, it's now more than 0.5 gram per mole, that water is not conducive, that water is not fit for human consumption. Yes, because the high content of the chlorine will damage the body cells and the body system. Yeah, that is it. So most of the water we drink around, the pure water, the table water, some of them they contain high chemical content. They contain high chemical content like chlorine. So at the end of the treatment, a water is subjected to be tested. They carry out laboratory tests to evaluate or to know the proportion of value of this chemical. If it is in excess, that water cannot be consumed. We now talk about the chemical, we now talk about the biological characteristics of water. That biological characteristics of water is talking about the presence of some microorganisms in water that will affect water quality. When microorganisms are present in water, the water will not be fit for human consumption. Yes, biological organisms like what? Like pathogens, bacteria. Yes, of course, bacteria like Salmonella, Escherichia coli. We also have viruses. Any pathogenic organism, any microscopic organism that is present in water. So at one point in time, so there's need for us to also evaluate the biological biological constituent of water. Yes, if those microorganisms are there, are inside that water, that water is not conducive for that water is not fit for consumption. That is why that at the end of the day, if somebody now drink water that is having biological agents, the person will develop sickness, typhoid, like that, many other sickness, cholera, yes, as a result of the presence of certain biological agents. You get now. So that is the characteristics of water on physical, on chemical, and on biological. So I'm going to send the note across to you. So from there, so now by next week we meet, then we fire on from there so that you can be prepared for the exam. So now the second assignment now is under chemical characteristics. You are to list 5 diseases that could arise as a result of list 5 diseases that could arise as a result of chemical constituents in water. Then number 3. Yes. The third assignment. You are to list 5 diseases that could arise as a result of biological biological agents. List 5 diseases that could arise as a result of biological agents in water. I will say it again. 3 assignments now. Number 1, list 5 waterborne diseases. Number 2, list 5 diseases that could arise as a result of chemical constituent in water. Number 3, list 5 diseases that could arise as a result of biological agents in water. So we'll see you next time. So drop comments, write your name under the comments and your matric number. So see you next time.